Hi, my name is Janis, and I will tell you everything you need to know about the current match day, not just results, but interesting statistics and so on as well. So, this week in La Liga with one more game to go, Mbappé and Yamal, they have already, and both they're tied on this, broken a top 5 European League record. Then in the Bundesliga, Dortmund, Frankfurt and Freiburg, they all are still, or were still fighting over Champions League spots. And in Serie A, the title race is still not over and it just got really heated. So let's jump right in. So let's start off with the Bundesliga. There are, like I said, 3 teams that have still a lot to earn or to lose, however you take it. Second and third team, Frankfurt and Freiburg, they had to face off. So yeah, potentially only one of them making it to Champions League play. Dortmund, 4th place, was just a few points behind them. And they had a chance to secure themselves Champions League play if they would win against already relegated Kiel, but they have to win at least 3-0, I believe, or 2-0 might be enough. 2, yeah. So, but depend. No, 3-0 is the safe one. Okay. In the third minute, they started with the penalty goal from Girassi. And yeah, Kiel then in the 9th minute even got a red card. So Dortmund managed to score those 2 more goals, secured themselves Champions League. It was a tough season, but they made it back. They had a really, really good run over the last, I believe, 8 games, 22 from 24 points, if I recall correctly. So it was on Frankfurt and Freiburg to battle it out. Who will make Champions League play next season and who doesn't? And Freiburg took an early lead and they held more possession over the game, but Frankfurt came back and the game ended 3-1, so it's Frankfurt moving on to the Champions League next season. Other top matches, there we have Mainz, who fought for international play against Leverkusen. And Leverkusen, they got a brace from Schick, but 2 goals from Mainz tied the score. And they also had 4 goals denied by Villareal. So yeah, a draw was not a lucky one. They could have won. So for Mainz, the important thing was that Leipzig or Stuttgart would win, because Leipzig were the direct rivals for international play. And Xavi Simons, he set him up for a win with an early goal. And they even went into halftime with a 2-1 scoreline. But Woltemade and Demirovic, they scored both in the second half, so the end result was 2-3. And therefore Mainz makes it to international play and Leipzig don't. And last but not least, Bayern, for the last game, they had to face off against Hoffenheim. Kane was not a starter. Company told allegedly that he partied a bit too much and therefore he wouldn't be a starter. So yeah. And also he started Müller in the striker position because it's his last game for Bayern after, I think, 25 years. So come on. 61st minute. He then subbed out Müller, brought in Kane, and Kane, he still provided an assist. He provided a goal. It was a 4-0 win. Kane got another individual trophy for being the top scorer of the league, and he's also the first one to win 2 of these trophies in his first Bundesliga seasons. Nobody did this before in their first Bundesliga seasons. So next league we want to talk about is La Liga. In La Liga, Barcelona faced off against Villareal, and Barcelona, they were just confirmed champions last match day. So they kind of had nothing to lose, which was kind of nice for them because Petri was ill, Torres had an appendix operation. And yeah, so Hansi Flick, he decided to bring back Ter Stegen, who made his comeback in the league like 2 match days before, I believe. So yeah, now that they've won, after a long injury, he thought, okay, let's give Ter Stegen another chance. And Villareal, they scored in the 4th minute. Yamal equalized and Lopez increased the score for 2-1 for the halftime. But Villareal, they had just 3 shots on target, but all of them went into the goal, and so the end result was a 3-2, which secured him Champions League play for the next season. And Ter Stegen, he got a kind of bad player rating, but one gotta say that all of the goals, they were not like his individual faults. So yeah, kinda hard to say. I know he gets a little bit of critique here and there. We have to see how he finds back into play after being injured for so long. Then Real versus Sevilla. Sevilla had a really bad season and were just a few points of relegation. And then they also got a red card in the 12th minute. So yeah, things weren't looking that good. But then they scored the 1-0 lead in the 48th minute against all odds. So yeah, Real Madrid, I don't know. You can't really say they had a bad season, but they didn't have the best season either. They weren't winning any of their 3 big target trophies. So I don't know. Mbappé kind of becoming a new current GOAT of Real Madrid. He provided another goal. And then in the 87th minute, Bellingham also scored. So they just barely beat them. And yeah, with that, like I said, the one record, Mbappé and Yamal now both has 7 goals from out of the box. And that's the highest in the top 5 leagues ever scored. And they both tie on this record. So it's kind of nice to have a new rivalry, sorry, not in native tongue, in Spain, in La Liga, between a Barcelona and a Real Madrid player. Yeah. Okay, the last one was Atletico against Betis. And for Betis, Anthony and Isco did not start. Maybe because they have a Conference League final coming up. Isco, he was injured. So yeah, after trading 2-0 in halftime, Anthony and Isco then were subbed in. But they were still losing 4-1. A brace from Alvarez, among other goals, resulted in a 12 home games unbeaten streak from Atletico against Betis. So next league. Yeah, let's talk about Ligue 1. For Ligue 1, it was like in the Bundesliga, it was the last match day of the season. And we saw 2 blowout victories. Monaco Lens, it ended 4-0 after a red card for Monaco. And yeah, Lens, they only had 5 shots on target, but efficient enough. They had, 4 goals. So then the next one was the meme of Nice Breast, or Nice Breast. 3 goals each in each half. And Brest, they were having higher possession, but all the 6 goals, they went all in for Nice. So yeah, 6-0. And I believe, Brest in the Champions League, they already lost 7-0 to PSG this season. So they had a good season, but they had some blowout defeats. Okay, let's move on. The big dogs, PSG. They played Auxerre and they were behind in halftime, 0-1. But they made a comeback in the second half. A brace from Kvaratskhelia. It's not the easiest name to pronounce. Plus 1 more goal led to a 3-1 to celebrate their league win. So yeah, they finished their league with a win. And now they have still Champions League and the Coupe de France. They still have to win. They can still make the triple. So then we have Lille-Rennes, which ended in a 2-1 for Lille. And Lyon-Angers, 2-0 for Lyon. with Lacazette scoring his 200th and 201st goal for Lyon. And last but not least, Marseille-Rennes ended 4-2 with braces from Greenwood and Rabiot. And yeah, what else do I have written down? 14th. The 14th second place. This is the 14th time they finish in the league second place, and that's 5 more than any other team in Ligue 1. So they are the master of finishing second. Okay, Premier League. At the time of this recording, the match day is not fully through, but yeah, I'll cover the other matches in the next video if they're relevant. So first off, the Europe League finalists, they went and collected their weekly league loss. So Tottenham lost to Aston Villa. It was the 100th game for Unai Emery with Aston Villa, and Aston Villa, they dominated in stats. They won with the 2-0 with goals from Konsa and Kamara, and with 54 wins for Unai Emery. It's the most wins in the first 100 games as an Aston Villa coach ever. And then Manchester United, they had to also have to face a pretty good team. Right now it's Chelsea. Okay, right now it's a bit... Chelsea had some rough last week's month, perhaps, but they're still pretty high in the table. So yeah, 1-0, 1 goal from Cucurella sealed the deal. And Man U, they are on their longest losing streak in over 30 years. Another fun statistic to enjoy. Not if you're a Man U fan though. So, then we had Nottingham Forest taking on West Ham. And Nottingham Forest, they had a really good season. And they are still hoping for Champions League play. West Ham dominated in stats, but Forest, they won a hard-fought 2-0 victory. And they next week, Champions League qualification is decided in their match against Chelsea. So, yeah, if they can beat the Blues, they can make it. I would love for them to make it. Then second place Arsenal and third place Newcastle. What's Canada? Maybe, was it the highlight? It probably was. The highest rated teams of the league. They had to face off as well with Newcastle. They fired 5 shots on target in the first 70 minutes. And after that, 0. So yeah, with no goals scored, and Declan Rice scoring 1, it ended 1-0 for Arsenal. And Declan Rice now has 19 goal contributions, which is the most for Arsenal, just after Saka, who has 25. And last but not least, City, let's mention this as well, they lost the FA Cup final against Crystal Palace. Despite having a way higher expected goal ratio, but couldn't score. Crystal Palace, they did it with a XG from under 1, if I remember correctly. So then the last league was the most exciting this season, to be honest. Let's see, they are. And yeah, it's still the only league with a title open. And they had all the games at the same time, so it was kind of exciting to see how the games from title contenders Inter and Napoli went. And Inter, they got a lead against Lazio, and at the same time Napoli, they weren't able to score. So Inter took over. They were now I think 2 points ahead of Napoli, but Pedro equalized for Lazio. Then Dumfries took the lead for Inter again, but Pedro he equalized again for the 2-2 end result. He also now has the most goals from the bench this season. And Napoli-Parma, they also drew 0-0. So now Napoli still have 79 points and Inter 78. So everything is decided next week. Then we had a match of AC Milan against Roma. And Roma scored an early goal. Then AC Milan got an early red card. João Felix, he still scored despite being reduced to 10 men, so 1-1 was the scoreline. But the end result, it was a 3-1. AC Milan lost to Roma. And after losing the Coppa Italia final against Bologna, AC Milan will now play in no European competition for the first time in almost 10 years. What else? Juventus, they continued their good start under Igor Tudor. And they just won 2-0 over Udinese. Atalanta, they trailed twice, but they won with a late goal from Retigui, who is now not only the top scorer of the league with 25 goals, but he also has, kind of funny fact, 10 goals scored with his left foot, 10 with his right. So that's the true definition of a player who can do it with both feet. And for the last match, we had Fiorentina against Bologna. And despite 2 equalizers, Fiorentina were able to not hold their lead because obviously it was equalized on the way. But Moise Kean, 84th minute, final decision, 3-1 victory for Fiorentina. So that's it for this week. And the next week, it's kind of the last match day of the season. But it's still interesting, so you should consider subscribing so that you don't miss it, because I will tell you all about it. Like I just said, the Italian title race is still open. The Italian fight for international spots, also Juve, Roma, Lazio, Fiorentina, Bologna, they are all still in the race. It's all decided on the last match day. And then in the Premier League, like I said, fight for international play as well. And Chelsea, Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, maybe City, they still all can make it. And we also have the Coupe de France and the DFB Pokal, I just say it this way in German, which could be theoretically won by a third division team, Arminia Bielefeld. So if you don't want to miss this out, consider subscribing, leave a like, leave a comment telling us what was your highlight of the current match day and what are you looking for the most next week. And then see you in the next video. Bye.